Hello, I'm going to talk about some of the new champions that are being added in 3.3. It's obviously a preview, nobody has them yet. I was going to talk about them all, but the video is dragging on way too long, and this is not going to be a short video either. But what I'm going to do is concentrate on the Sacred Order champions. What I'm going to say very quickly is the Sacred Order is an unusual faction in that they already have a ton of champions. I think they have the most amount of epics in the game. That's 6, 12, 7, 18, and they're adding I think three, so they're gonna have 21 epics in the game. That's tremendous. They have a tremendous amount of rares. They have a decent amount of uncommons. Actually, not a lot of factions even have commons, and I think they have amongst the most. They have and even some of their easy to get to champions like Armiger is really good. Aethel has a lot of use. She's not bad. She's not terrible. Um, he's not as easy to get, but he's not bad at all either. And this guy's not. I'm sorry, this guy Purgator is not bad. I mean, like they have decent champions. The epics are a little bit lackluster. Ishmael is very good. Lightsworn is. This is not my main account, by the way. This is Lightsworn's very good. Cardinal's interesting. Phoenix has some good uses. Aethar has some specific uses. These all the ones here are not particularly good. Sanguina, something really quickly interesting you do with her is on her A3. If you build her an immune or high resist, and you can get enough crit damage, and you have her close to like 300 speed, you can use her to counter torments. What you do is you have your Arbiter go, you beat they go, everyone gets frozen or they don't, but she resists. And what you do is because this has like a 7.5 attack mod, you nuke their when you go nuke their champion, whether it's their turn immunity booster or their their whoever you think you can kill, and then she removes all the debuffs from your team. So then you get to proceed as normal. So you can actually it's a weird way of controlling the other team through actually killing whoever you want on their side as while removing debuffs. I don't think anyone else can remove debuffs from everyone on your team and kill somebody. So that's kind of unique. And she's also fairly tanky, very good speed, and she has a block debuffs and some heals on the rest of her kit. That's very common in this patch. Is you're going to see a lot more block debuffs um, and cleanses. But an alright champion, not a bad champion, bad, meh, meh. They have a lot of champions, but you would think that instead of actually adding new champions, they would just fix like this or this. I mean, they've even bust them or this or this or this or this or this. And like they didn't need to add more. Their Legos are very good. One of the best Legos in the game. Excellent Lego. Excellent Lego. Good if you have her. Solid Lego. Unique Lego. Excellent Lego. So um, it's not a faction that needed a lot of love in terms of new champions. So I'm going to go through the ones that are in this patch. There's two Legos and I think three epics. I'm not gonna go on this. I have a video on Astrolon. Um, Long story short, if you can fuse him. Try hard to fuse him because he's the best stun champion in the game. I don't know how good the rest of his kit is, but he has a 100% chance to stun on a 4-turn cooldown. Nobody has anything close to that. The next highest percentage is 75% with books, which is Netheril on the same 4-turn cooldown. And then the next highest percentage after that is Trunda, which you're probably not building her for the stun anyway, which is 70% I think on a 5-turn cooldown with or without books. So so he's the best stun champion in the game, literally. So Sacred Order gave him that. He has a bunch of other cool things in his kit. I don't know how good they're going to be, but you can go watch the other video if you want to find out more of them. But he's a very good champion, or or at the very least, he's the best stun champion in the game. And I'm not sure yet, but it's possible that his stun does not weak hit because the way the wording is implies to me there's a good chance that it can't weak hit. So phenomenal. This champion I want to talk about, Cardial, is probably the best champion or the champion that I'm most excited about in this patch. And what I'm going to say is he is now, at least for arena, the best. Unless he's super slow or there's something wrong with him, he's the best ally attack buffer. He might not be the best in clan boss, but in every other thing he is. So what does this A1 do? It heals all allies by 7.5% of their max XP. So, that's a constant heal type of thing whenever he does his A1, whether it's a counter attack, whether it's a group attack, or he just uses his A1. And it places True Fear on 3 different factions. That's a solid A1. There's nothing to complain about. And he's a sport champion, so you're not expecting a lot of damage. So that's a solid one. This A2 is freaking amazing. It does three things, and if it just did the first two of the things, it would be freaking amazing. When I think of block debuffs, and I think the best champions that do, one's Duchess, another's Blind Seer. Then you have people like, and then Sepulchre Sentinel. Those people have two turn block debuffs on 3-turn cooldowns when booked. Other champions like Maw's Mage has a 1-turn block debuff. 2-turn block debuffs is actually a fairly rare ability. It's not super rare, but it's fairly rare. But you know what all those champions don't do on the same ability that I just mentioned? They don't cleanse the debuffs that already exist. So if you lose a speed race to the other team's Mashal, but you can put up a block debuffs too late, it don't matter. All those true fears are there. If you're fighting a team that has a Blind Seer or a Duchess and you land your debuffs, they eat it. They can't do anything about it. Someone like Maw's Mage can clear debuffs, but he can't clear debuffs and then put up a block debuffs at the same time. This guy actually removes, I'm pretty sure this is a guy, it's a masculine looking woman if it is. He removes all debuffs and then places block debuffs for 2 turns. Okay, absolutely exceptional ability. Full stop, exceptional ability. If you're building a defensive arena team, exceptional ability. And then he places, to top it off, he places a Revive on Death buff on all allies for 2 turns. Revive on Death buffs cannot be removed. Revive on Death is not that great, but it's better than nothing. I don't want to belabor it, but Revive on Death, you revive when you die with low health, no turn meter, and you're really easy to kill. That also kind of makes you a dummy for someone to keep attacking. So if you have someone low, gets Revive on Death, the AI will attack it instead of using their abilities to land the kill. Then you revive, and then the next champion does. So it's kind of like a buffer, like a dummy target when you're putting up the revive. That's about the best use for Revive on Death. Or maybe some old school clan boss Phoenix comps or something. I don't know. That's because there's only one person attacking you. Now we're going to talk about A3, which is now the best ally attack in the game. So there's 3 Legos, 2 epics that do 3 or more ally attacks. One is Farrakhan the Fat, the other one's Catacomb Counselor. Those are the epics. They're not as good as the Lego ones. The Lego ones are Kreela Witcharm, Longbeard, and Lannicus, which are all, by the way, Magic champions. Kreela and Lannicus are very similar champions. I would say most people like Kreela more. I like Lannicus more, but the thing about both of them is they put up similar. I would say the buffs that Kreela puts up are better than the buffs that Lannicus puts up. But they don't get to go. Well, definitely not in Kreela's chance. If you want to use the ally attack, you can't. You have to have somebody else buff before her, or you have to buff her and then everyone gets to cycle a turn and then she goes. She can't put up her buffs and then ally attack. Lannicus has a 50-50 chance if you want to roll the dice, because on her buffs, when she puts up her buff abilities, she can't. She has a 50% chance with books to grant an extra turn and you get to go. And then you can do your ally attack. That's rolling the dice that nobody likes. The thing I like about Lannicus and Longbeard has no buffs. He's a pure attack champion. Lannicus and I believe Kreela are support champions. I have something like, across my hands, I have something like 9 Kreelas. You'd think I'd know this. I have only one Lannicus. The thing I like about Lannicus is that her A2 does something really unique. She extends all buffs, which is an extremely rare ability, and it has a 30% turn meter, and she's got 108 speed, so that's why I like to use her for arena. I also don't like the randomness of Kreela's. Kreela and Lannicus also don't attack with all party members. It's with +3. Longbeard is the only champion I think that, including itself, attacks with all party members until this guy, Cardial. The great thing about Longbeards is it has a +20% damage, so that makes it really great for Blender. But what this guy does is he places an increased crit rate, and a 30% increased crit damage on all allies for 2 turns. Then teams up with all allies to attack a target enemy. So you can, let's say you were fortunate enough to have a big gun. So big gun has the most damaging A1 in the game. So you now can actually take 30% off his crit rate, And he's going to get 30% crit damage, and you can build him as much crit damage and much attack as you possibly can. You will kill somebody. Or if you're worried, you can take somebody with a really strong A1 like Phoenix, and you land that kill. Everywhere other than Clan Boss, I think Creel will be better. You're going to get a chance. You're going to get to take this 4-turn cooldown to 3-turn cooldown, which is what Creel has. Lannicus is effectively 3.5 because of the proc on the extra turn. So this is now the best, with the possible exception of Clan Boss, the best ally attack in the game. On somebody who also has the best, and also puts up excellent buffs like Creel and Lannicus, and then also has tremendous utility. But wait, there's more. She has a passive, not the best passive in the world, or he has a passive, not the best passive in the world, but not bad either. Allies receive 20% less damage from champions from the Demon Spawn, Undead, or Night Revenant faction. So, well, that obviously help in some areas, some dungeons, and some Doom Tower stages. One of the things, though, that it will do in Arena is some of the heaviest hitters in Arena are in those champions. Think Rotus, he's undead. Mashald, he's undead. I'm not worried about damage from Siphi. You won't see too many Blood Gorges either, but you'll see some Skull Crowns, that's for sure. In the 3v3, you still see a lot of miscreated monsters, and you see Sineshas a lot, right? That's 20% less damage from them. You don't see too many Kruchaxas, but that's 20% less damage from a Kymor or a Kruchaxa, or whomever. And that's nice, especially when you get to pick your team. The other thing about it is that she gets a chance to attack with her allies of 15%, and one special one with Sissy of Flame Tongue. And he gets an increased ally speed in all battles by 19%. That's also a pretty common thing. So Cardio looks fantastic, and to me looks like by far the best ally attack champion in the game. R.I.P. Lannicus. I'll always love you. Now I want to talk about Deacon Armstrong. Deacon Armstrong is baller. I almost cursed, but he's baller. There's going to be a lot of things. Very simple. If you're an old school arena person, you've seen a lot of War Maidens and a lot of apothecaries. Well, this guy does both those jobs in one turn. So his A1 is provides a leech. That's useful. Nothing great. It's a one. He's more likely to land a leech because it goes to 50, so it's a 25% chance that he doesn't proc a leech on one target. Okay, his A2 basically booked. It's 100% decreased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. That's great. That's great. But it's not like the best thing in the world anymore. But that's basically what War Maiden does, right? Like back in the old arena teams. What he has in the third, and we don't know how fast he is. I'm hoping he's at least 106. His third ability is an exact copy of what Diabolus does with a wrinkle. It's also very much like Lysandra without the buffs and the debuffs, but it would decrease speed and decrease speed. But what he does is he fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, and then he decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%, and then grants an extra turn. So that turns his 3-turn cooldown into a 2-turn cooldown. In other words, somebody's going to use this guy, come up with unkillable 2-for-1 speeds with this guy. But also, he's an amazing arena champion because you go in, you take turn meter from your enemies, you boost your team, and then you put decreased defense. So the way I would use him is I would use him as part of a 2-turn. I would have him slower than he wouldn't be my turn meter booster, my main turn meter booster, unless he's all the way up to like 110, which is what a Diabolist is, by the way. You can get Diabolist in stage 12 campaign if you're desperate for a turn meter booster. She's literally outside of Lysandra and Arbiter. She's the same speed as them, actually. So she's just a fantastic turn meter booster. What I would do personally is I would have like my Arbiter the fastest, and I'd only build this guy to 290 to 300 because I'd want to get him up to at least 250, 300 accuracy because I'd want to learn I want to make sure I learn the decreased defense, and I want to make sure I land the reduced turn meter of all enemies. So if you think about what this guy does, okay, he comes in, he casts this. So this goes from a 3-turn cooldown to a 2-turn cooldown. Then he casts this, it's on a 3-turn cooldown. 2 turns later, this is on a 1 cooldown down. This is on a 0 turn cooldown. He casts it, grants an extra turn. When he grants that extra turn from the 3 to 2, that makes this one actually off cooldown. So now it's cycled. So now his first 2 times when he gets to use this, he's going to be able to go, okay, turn meter boost and nerf, and then decrease defense. Fantastic champion. Oh, and for giggles, he has an increased ally speed in all battles by 19%. Fantastic champion. Next champion is Lord Falconheart. When I first saw this guy, I was underwhelmed, but I figured it out. He looks like he has a chance to be a clan boss champion. He's not. I'll explain in a second. There is a certain situation you can use him, but he's not a clan boss. He's basically a pure Doom Tower champion. His A1, decrease attack for 2 turns. Very good for clan boss, but not for him. And I'll explain in a second. One setup works. Then I thought he was going to be like Vergus. This is why what I thought in the beginning he was going to be that great. When you look, he removes all debuffs from one ally and then places a 50% ally protection. If you go look at like the bad champions and the epics, they tend to be single target buffers. That's what makes them bad. So that's why I was initially, But then what he's really about is his last 2. His aura of 25% in Doom Tower, and he puts a 20% or 24% with books shield on all champions for 2 turns for every 2 turns. So basically, he's your Scarab King boss. That's what he's for. Why doesn't he work for clan boss? Well, if we're following normal AI stuff, we don't know what it's going to be, but this is a good guess. He's going to prioritize this, then he's going to prioritize that. Maybe if someone's really low, he'll prioritize this before that, but generally he's going to prioritize this, then this, then this when they're off cooldown. So turn 0. Say you build him over 190 speed for Nightmare. You have him 195 speed for Ultra Nightmare. He's going to come in. He's going to put up a shield. No decreased attack on turn 1. Turn 2, he's going to put ally protection. And he goes, okay, fine. Turn 3, we'll put down his decreased attack. Nope. His shield's going to be off cooldown, so he's going to put up a shield. And these 20% shields don't cut it for later stages of clan boss. It's just not. That's why you don't see like Zealotas. The clan boss hits too hard. You need Valk or nothing at that point. So turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3, or turn 0 prior to the clan boss's turns 1, 2, and 3, he has not done decrease attack. Turn 4, he will. And then it'll reset, and then 5, shield will be back off cooldown. So he'll do shield. On 6, he'll do ally protection, and then shield will be back on off cooldown on 7, and then on turn 8. So in other words, 1 out of every 4 turns, if you're speed tunes with the clan boss, he's actually going to do his A1. He will do 0 damage. He is 0 damage champion, unless his A1 is absurdly hard for an HP champion. He does 0 damage. He's actually does so few attacks that you don't actually even need War Master for him. There is one situation where he's good for clan boss. If you're running a team with Skull Crusher, and specifically Skull Crusher, he's good. Not Martyr, and definitely not Valkyrie, because you don't want his shields overriding Valk shields. The reason why he works specifically with Skull Crusher is Skull Crusher puts up an ally protection, and he takes a ton of damage. He puts this up for 2 turns, and usually you have him going, if you're doing it right, you have him going the very last. So he's going to eat 2 turns of ally protection with only 1 turn of invulnerability. And because when he puts his counter attack up, he doesn't put it on himself. He only gets half as many chances to proc the life saving that he needs from a War Master lifesteal. So what you do with this guy is you can become your attack down champion, because with the counterattack, he's going to get 2 extra attacks per 3 rotation of his A1. So it's going to be roughly 2.5. So he'll probably keep up decrease attack. It's still a little sketchy, but he'll probably keep up decrease attack. But what you do is between AoE 1 and AoE 2, and if you speed tune it right, you can have Skull Crusher and him go back and forth on who goes last. And what you might have to manual it, but it would be at once every 3 turns you'd have to do 1 manual, where you would actually take the ally protection. You'd have him put his ally protection onto Skull Crusher before the second AoE, so that so Skull Crusher doesn't die, he's not super low on the second AoE, so he doesn't die when his invulnerability comes off. That's the rare way you would use him in clan boss. Have fun at it. Otherwise, he's not a good clan boss champion. He's pretty much just a Doom Tower champion. And then there's Godzilla Niri, who is fantastic. The reason why she has a hand on her face is because she's been touched by the hand of God. I'm serious. She's very unique in a couple ways. So and I'm looking forward to the Scratch Manable or Murder Inc. or Stu Gaming um, video of her doing some messed up stuff, and we'll talk about it in a second. Her A1 heals 5%, heals somebody for 5% when it hits one target, and it can't heal herself. That's okay. It's not horrible. The A2 is actually insanely good. Attacks all enemies. That's okay. One thing it does. Heals all allies by 15% of their max HP. Nothing incredible there, but not bad at all. So that's two things it does. Then decreases the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1 turn. That's 3 things it does. And then increases the duration of all buffs on allies by 1 turn. That's 4 things. Remember when I was talking about Lannicus having that ability? It's a rare ability. There's only a handful of champions that have that increased duration of all buffs on all allies. Something like Sandlash Survivor, Krisk, Lannicus, Valerie. Like, if you run her with a Krisk in a clan boss team, I'm not saying that you should, but if you run her with the Krisk, you can have permanent ally protection and permanent increased speed on all champions. That's like amazing. So this ability is really great, and in some cases, if you're attacking someone who has a buff for only 1 turn, it actually is effectively a purge. So let's say your DPS person goes and he knocks Skullcrown down and procs the unkillable. Well, when she goes and uses this turn, the unkillable goes away. Unfortunately, she attacks before she does that. Otherwise, she would kill Skullcrown, but she'll take that ability from them. So that in that case, it actually acts as a purge. And I wonder how it interacts with Candrafon, because Candrafon's shield can't be purged, and it's not purging the shield or cleansing the shield or removing it. What it's doing, it's lowering the cooldown of it, or the duration of it, and I wonder if that'll take it. I don't know. There's other champions that do this, and I've never bothered to check it out. But that's interesting. So that's a really good ability. Then we're going to talk about number 3, and this is where the fun comes in. Revives a dead ally with 50% HP, then fills their turn meter by 50% and resets the cooldowns of all their skills on a 4-turn cooldown. Imagine you had the following champions: Taurus, Xavia, Kymar, and this champ, and then one other, say Arbiter or whatever. You go into a dungeon, Taurus goes first, puts out his poisons, Xavia kills him. Next wave. Taurus does his A1 or whatever he does, Xavia does her A2, and then Kymar does whatever. But you've built Kymar with like 10,000 health and 1,500 defense. Like, he's really, really weak. He's all attacked for whatever damage, but no survivability. So you cycle through that turn. Kymar gets attacked by the waves, gets killed. She reses. He's off cooldown on his reset. Everyone goes. Kymar comes back, resets all the cooldowns on all the champs, including her. And then right after that, Taurus and Xavia kill everyone again. Then you get to the boss. You're on Dragon now. Again, you've made, or you're on Fire Knight or whoever it is that you want, or you're in Doom Tower. You go through the A2 stuff again. Kymar gets killed. She's off. This ability's off cooldown because Kymar reset it. She reses him. He's off reset. Everyone gets their big abilities again. I can't wait to see somebody do that. Because that's what this is. And even in general stuff, if you're like struggling in Doom Tower or whatever, and your Arbiter dies, and your Arbiters use res, she brings Arbiter back, and then Arbiter brings everybody back. Or you can build your Cold Hearts like super glass cannon, like in that spider boss. You reses, boom, she can do her, the one that you take damage as you reduce the turn meter. Well, when you res her, that Heartseeker's right back off, she can do it again, right? Like it's a uniquely good skill. You're going to see it in defensive. You're going to see this in defensive teams in Arena. And then her final thing is her passive increases the amount of healing all allies receive by 10%, and then she places a revive on death that can't preventing someone from dying. So again, it has a use, like, it's not a revive on death's not that great, but what it does is it kind of creates a dummy. So the AI works as, if there's somebody really low, instead of using their build ability, the attacking champion won't use their big ability. What it'll do is it'll use a smaller ability that guarantees the kill on the weak champion. So in this case, if someone gets low and then somebody goes to kill that champion, She'll block it with the revive on death, um, um, and then or res, and then the next champ, the next making the next champion who goes to kill that. You're like eating a turn of the enemy. That's about the best use. There's probably some. There's probably I guess not because it's only one. It's not like Lightsworn, but there might be some weird other use for it. But what you're bringing her for is her A2 and her A3, and it's fantastic. The other thing about this champion, if you think about champions that tend to do a lot of resing or healing or buff extensions, they tend to be support champions more, or even HP champions. She's a defense champion. Defense champions, on average, are the slowest champions in the game. So I'm expecting her not to be fast. I'm expecting 1400 defense and maybe 18,000 health. And you're going to be able to build this champ like a tank, and she's going to be resin people, and standing buffs and removing buffs and healing, and just she's just going to be hellaciously good. The only thing I feel bad is that somebody, I don't know if they have an optometrist or whatever in Talaria, but she actually needs to go. Those cataracts are horrible. I mean, she's practically blind, I bet. Anyway, I'm looking forward to comments, thoughts. Anyone have different opinions or is something that I missed? I'd really appreciate it in the comments. Have a good night. And if you like the video, please hit the like button.